Yeah. All my graduates are here.
Let's say hi.
Hmm?
We can hear you now.
Hi, Miss Hessick.
How are you?
Nice to see you.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
How are you?
I'm
She
doing
run away.
well.
Mute it. Yeah.
Hi.
Like, it's so nice. Oh, what just happened?
That sounds familiar.
I know, right? What did she do now? She's frozen or done something.
So funny. Hi, Miss.
Good evening, everyone. Hopefully everyone can hear me. My name is Frank Galligan. I'm the principal of St. Peter Academy, and it's a pleasure to welcome all of you tonight. We're still admitting several people from the waiting room, and as soon as it looks like we're all here, we'll begin. I have muted everyone just because there's about 70 of us on this call, and the background noise can sort of be overwhelming. So any questions tonight can be put in through the comments on the side, and hopefully we can get to all of them. And we will begin momentarily. Thanks so much for your patience.
Frank, I think we can start. I
Great.
think, yeah, I don't see anybody else in the waiting room right now.
I think
And
we're all
we
here.
can just keep our eye out and just keep admitting people as they show up.
Absolutely. So again, welcome to everyone. Once again, my name is Frank Galligan. I'm the principal, and it's a pleasure to introduce Mary Ann Crush, who is the president of our board, who's with us, as well as several faculty and staff who are just sort of here present so they can get all of the information you know, prior to our professional development next week too. So welcome to all of them. And for Mary Ann, I'll let you kind of take over at this point if you'd like to say anything.
Sure. Well, welcome home, everyone. And for those of you who are new to our academy, welcome to your new home. And while I am welcoming people home, I would like to welcome someone very special home that is near and dear to our hearts, and that is Mr. Andy Dilba. Andy, for those of you who know him, is a well, he's a St. Peter School graduate and a former teacher of St. Peter's School and the former vice principal of St. Peter's School. He is a founding faculty and administration member of our St. Peter Academy and served as vice principal and principal until 2017. And so we are delighted that Mr. Dilba has returned home to a place that is very near and dear to him, as it is to many of us. And you'll be learning more about Mr. Dilba and more formal announcements as the days progress and we get ready to open the school for the school year. The school is open, everyone, to our early education toddler program, which is a year-round program, and our summer program. We have had over 8 weeks of programming with our students and teachers, and we are delighted to let everyone know that all of the protocols that we have in place during COVID are working. We have not had one instance of illness, never mind COVID-related illness in the building the whole time that we have been operating. So it's good news. And as we go through the COVID plan, you will see just how many measures are in place. It's a lot to digest. So we are presenting it in a slideshow, which will also be available to our community, once we are done with this meeting. We will go through the slides and add to it as we're talking. And then at the end, we'll have time for questions. And if you have questions that you don't want to lose as we go along, you can also put the questions in the chat section. And that way you don't have to try to furiously write things down. And it's actually even helpful to us so we can start answering questions as soon as we are finished with the presentation. We have the chat available, Frank, right?
Yes,
Yeah, great.
we do.
So if we want to start with the presentation, because it's kind of a lot to get through, it's a lot to absorb, but we are available and willing and ready from now until the first day of school and after to meet with people, Zoom with people, whatever your questions are, we want to be available to answer them. Do you want to start, Frank?
Sure. So we have been meeting weekly since May to really plan for a safe reopening of our school. And as Marianne said, we have been meeting, obviously we've been in session now since May, or since June rather, the end of June with our summer program. And so we'd like to just sort of give you an overview of all of the policies that we've come up with as a collaborative team that was made up of faculty, staff, administrators, and school board members, and several other community members as well, to ensure that our kids are getting as full of an experience as they can here in a safe environment that meets all of the EEC, DESE, and CDC guidelines. And so tonight we'll go through all of that with you. So as you can see, tonight's program will be an overview of our school plan in terms of how things have been run over the summer, what things look like right now in terms of our policies and procedures, as well as discussion of our hybrid plan should one be implemented if a student gets sick or if a classroom has to get quarantined, as well as the worst possible scenario, which we're hoping we don't have to do, a full remote plan. In addition, we'll also talk about a fidelity of education program, and then we'll provide you with an opportunity for questions at the very end. So the guidelines that we've been using have been available since June 18th. We also follow DESE guidelines that were released on June 25th. And you have to understand, because none of us have ever lived through something like this, including our government and local officials, we're learning more as days go on. And obviously these policies and guidelines continue to be updated or modified. And so our plans, for the most part, over the last several months haven't really changed, but we have made minor modifications as new guidelines have been released according to best practice. The guidelines that we're going to be discussing this evening are the most up-to-date. And as I mentioned before, various organizations, including the Early Education Center, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and the Center for Disease Control will continue to amend their guidelines over the course of the year. And as a result, you should expect from time to time, we will be informing you of changes or modifications to whatever plans we have in place, including policies and regulations. And again, it's important to remember that our reentry plan is based on the current guidance and it's subject to change. It's a living document that will be amended as changes and best practices become known, and we will always notify you of changes as we move through the year. The DESE guidelines in accordance to classroom space, to the extent possible, we aim for desks to be spaced 6 feet apart, but no fewer than 3 feet apart, and be facing in the same direction. Schools should seek to maximize physical distance between desks within their physical and operational constraints. Many schools are putting desks 3 feet apart. We are maintaining best practice in our belief that that should be 6 feet apart. So all of our desks in our classrooms are 6 feet apart. Any student use of our community room right now for the summer program, students are spaced 6 feet apart. We do not want to waver from that. And we have maintained that throughout the course of the last 9 weeks in our summer program. And here's a representation of one of our classrooms right now. As you can see, 6 feet distancing, all facing in the same direction. The EEC guidance recommends that we prepare the program space to promote physical distancing. Programs should consider the physical building capacity limitations and the total number of children anticipated to be in any one area. We have been doing that. Decisions about organization of the program space must be guided by the program's ability to implement adequate and consistent physical distancing. The kids will notice when they return, many of our current students who are here right now in our summer program have seen markers on the floor. We've purchased social distancing markers so students know where to stand in line when it comes time to move through the building, as well as throughout the corridors, to ensure that the kids are constantly spaced apart from each other throughout the day when they're not at their desks. This is a snapshot of our early education rooms that have been reimagined and designed to promote physical distancing throughout the summer and throughout the course of this academic year. As you can see, all the kids are 6 feet apart, and our centers have been reimagined, including our circle time in the morning, to ensure that the kids are kept at a similar distance.
I'm going to jump in here, Frank. I want everyone to notice our children with their masks on. And these children, for the most part, during the summer months with us, are between the ages of, in these particular pictures, between the ages of 24 months to just under 3. And I just have to remark that it is quite remarkable that our children are so resilient and so flexible and so adaptable. They're into it. I mean, I think they're so happy to be back and have opportunities to socialize and be with their teachers. It's amazing that what our children can do. And our teachers are amazing because they get these children to actually enjoy their time there while wearing a mask. I mean, the teachers are just incredible. I'm sorry for that. I see these pictures and I just, I get really excited.
I think there are some people, Mary Ann, I can't see them on my end, which is why I tried to minimize the screen. Are you able to see if there are people in the meeting room? I think there might be some people waiting.
I looked and I don't see any.
Okay, so we're okay then?
Yep.
Okay,
We
great.
are.
So I will go back to full screen mode. There we go. The DESE guidelines, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in the state of Massachusetts, recommends the following. Students in grade 2 and above are required to wear a mask or face covering that covers their nose and mouth. Students in kindergarten and grade 1 should be encouraged to wear a mask or face covering. Face shields may be an option for those students with medical or other challenges who are unable to wear masks or face coverings. Transparent masks may be the best option for teachers and younger students who rely on visual and facial cues, which is something we believe very firmly in. We want the kids to be able to see what the teacher is saying, so we have invested in plastic face shields for the teachers to utilize. Adults, including educators and staff, are required to wear masks and face coverings. Mask breaks should occur throughout the day. Breaks should occur when students can be 6 feet apart. Programs should encourage the wearing of masks or face cloth coverings during the program day. Whenever 6 feet of physical distancing is not possible, masks should be worn. Children under the age of 2 years should not wear face coverings or masks. So here we have a great picture of Mrs. Hessick. I've been joking around with her lately. She looks like a beekeeper from Mars, but obviously it's one of the best things that we could possibly have right now, where the children can actually see her face, see what she's saying, and she's still covered. So if she's in the front of the room delivering instruction, she can still interact with the kids in a way that the kids can understand. Go ahead. Go for
Actually, I'd
it.
like to add on Mrs. Hessick's shield that it meets all CDC requirements for a face mask. So Mrs. Hessick does not need to wear a face mask when she is instructing while wearing this shield. And I will give Laura Hessick an awful lot of credit. She sourced this out. They're made in Alaska, and we've made them available to all of our teaching staff. And we actually even got a trials one just to see if, you know, if it was ever needed, we'd have something available.
And as you can see too, on the right-hand side, we have black face masks for the adults too, that they can wear throughout the day. I also have a green St. Peter Academy mask that has the Dove logo on it that are available for purchase. We're encouraging all children to have 2 or more masks with them in case, you know, they cough or they sneeze or they get damp throughout the day or they spill something on it. It just, to maximize the comfort of the children, we encourage several masks. Of course, with their names labeled on the inside, so we know that there are no mix-ups, and these will be kept in clear designated locations, so that way children aren't putting on each other's masks by accident. Children under the age of 2 will not wear masks. The practice of covering the student's lower face will be practiced in common areas, however, throughout the school building. Students ages 2 to 6 will be consistently encouraged to wear a mask. Masks will be worn whenever 6 feet of social distancing cannot take place. Students ages 7+ will be required to wear masks. Mask breaks, again, will occur throughout the day in accordance with the guidelines that were sent to us. Masks are a uniform requirement, as I just mentioned before. 2 masks should come to school each day. You'll notice right now, as I'm talking to all of you in my office, my door is closed. I don't have my mask on. Whenever I leave my office and go into the common area, because I can't distance myself 6 feet from other people, I wear the mask. So it's a very big priority for us that these masks are worn whenever we're going into common areas or 6 feet of social distancing cannot occur. This is something that we have become very skilled at throughout the summer. Those of you driving by may have seen some of our staff with a spray and hose attached to a giant jug disinfecting our playground equipment. I know a few parents have commented on it. We are continuously and thoroughly cleaning our school in between transitions and usage throughout the day. Classroom disinfecting takes place at scheduled times during the school day and at the end of each day. Common areas and shared spaces such as halls, stairways, bathrooms, and the community room and playground are disinfected throughout the day or between each cohort use. Staff are trained and assigned, and school-wide schedules reflect cleaning and disinfecting times to ensure consistency. This was something that we submitted to the state with our written plans for the school so they can actually see what our cleaning schedule looks like throughout the day. Every classroom is equipped with an air purifier and with rapid air cleaning cycles. These were things that we invested in during the summertime to ensure just additional safety parameters are being taken to promote health and safety. And cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfecting products are CDC approved for schools that we are using here at St. Peter's. Additionally, a professional cleaning company has been contracted to perform monthly deep steam cleaning of all floors, rugs, desks, and chairs. The following 2 slides are of a model early education classroom schedule with cleaning, disinfecting, and hand washing built into the schedule. And again, this is what we submitted to the state with our plans by the required deadline a week ago. with all of the updated guidelines in place so you can see how we are sanitizing our school throughout the day.
And I would like to add that this schedule is currently followed by every early education classroom in our building, all of our toddler classrooms. And this is just one slide. The schedule is long. We have 2 slides to show. And as you look at these, everything in red is either a cleaning, sanitizing, or disinfecting function, or a hygiene hand washing function. And I have to tip my hat to the early education staff. They are on it, and they collaborated to put this together. We did 3 days of training, 3 days of teacher training, to come up with exactly what was needed every minute of the day and how we were going to keep all of the children safe. And they spent a lot of time reimagining how to plan lessons and engage the children in socializing, education, trying to get the kids together. And they're doing a bang up job. They have centers going on where the children are spaced apart, but they're modeling conversation and sharing. And they're doing air hugs and all kinds of really nice things that are just a joy to see. Those parents that are enjoying watching things in the classroom are seeing it on tadpoles. For those of you coming back, you'll have the opportunity in the early education classrooms to see the same thing. So we can go to the second slide, because it's a lot.
And I have to say, this is a very unprecedented year in education, as we all know, and our teachers have really risen above and beyond the expectations, and they're really giving it their all. And whenever possible, myself, as well as Ashley Crush, who's the operation coordinator for the TADA program, have been trying to ensure that the teachers know we're noticing this. And we're really appreciative, because it really makes our school great. And I'm very appreciative to them for everything they've been doing to help make all of this possible this summer. So as you can see, continuous disinfecting all the way up through the very end of the day. And once everyone is gone, disinfecting still continues. What about hygiene throughout the day? Obviously, kids can be messy. Kids and germs kind of go hand in hand sometimes, and we obviously want to make sure that we're on top of that during normal times. But now during COVID, we have to take additional measures. So this is what we're going to be doing. Hand washing protocols are going to be modeled for all of the children. Hand washing times are built into the classroom schedules to ensure that the kids are constantly washing their hands throughout the day. Engaging age-appropriate hand washing signs have been placed throughout the building. They're really fun. We even have Disney characters with face masks on, reminding the kids about face mask importance. So it really has been a kid-centered environment reimagined for COVID. In addition, hands-free hand sanitizers have been located and placed at each building entry, classroom entrances within each classroom and outside and inside of offices in the community room throughout the building. They're really nifty. They're battery operated and they're automatic. You just put your hand underneath, ready to go, sanitize away. Exclusive use of student materials will be maintained for all students in separate containers, where we really don't want sharing of anything to ensure that what's a student's property remains that student's property throughout the year. Student apparel and backpacks will be stored with spacing so that no touch occurs of the student materials throughout the day. Additional personal protective equipment has been provided to faculty and staff. As you can see on the right, the school has secured scrubs, gowns, gloves, and shields to further protect themselves as well as your children. Social distancing markers, as I've mentioned before, and signage reminders are placed in corridors and common areas to minimize contact. A washer and dryer have been lovingly donated by one of our board members, Mary Ellen Connolly, to ensure coverings and PPE apparel can be laundered frequently. I'm very appreciative to her for that very kind gesture to help support our community. A touchless drinking water dispenser for water bottles has been arranged. Clear view shields will be provided for every student desk. And we will continue to use the South Boston neighborhood as an outside classroom for instruction. One of our teachers, Mrs. Hessick, are you still doing the little Jeeps in your classroom? I think I'm trying to unmute you, hold on.
Sorry, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Sorry, I don't understand this.
Go
I
for it.
am. I am. I have some sweet little things ready to go. I'm just waiting for the last piece of plexiglass to arrive. Yep. Christian has actually been absolutely over the top. I'm directing and he's doing all the work.
So you should see pretty soon on our social media, I'm sure we'll have pictures posted. Mrs. Hessick has designed the student desks to have like a Jeep style front and a windshield that actually takes the form of a plexiglass protective screen. So all the kids are in little Jeeps throughout the day at their respective desks. So it's a really cute idea and I gotta give her props for the creativity.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we have chosen to utilize
Frank, can we go back to the,
right there.
yes. So we have a long history of using the community as a resource in classroom. And we just want everyone to know that we will continue to take every opportunity to have our children outside in the sunshine and fresh air, enjoying a lesson with their teachers. So that will continue, and I expect that the teachers will really take advantage of it, and the kids absolutely love it. That was actually something that Mr. Dilba started, and we continue till today, and it's great to do. Sorry, Frank, go ahead.
You're good. I'm glad that you elaborated on that because I think that's one of the best facets of our school.
Yeah.
We really do value the external community to the fullest extent possible. So we've chosen to utilize the Center for Disease Control's best practices for the school's COVID-19 health protocols. We have daily wellness screenings and touchless temperature checks and visual screenings taking place at the Welcome Center prior to student and staff entry each day. This is something that we have once again become very well versed in, having done it for the last 9 weeks now. We have it down to a science and we're ready to implement it for the academic year, albeit in a modified format because we now have pre-K through 4th grade entering each day in addition to our toddler students who are currently with us at the moment. A digital wellness screening form is filled out by the family each morning and prior to arriving at school. I'll be sending you instructions via email as to how you can download it and create an app on your phone. It's one of the easiest ways to pull it up in the morning. You pull up in the car outside, it's on your phone. You just, press all the appropriate buttons to ensure that your child has been checked by you at home before leaving the house, that they don't have a fever, no one in the household has had a fever, and you're just simply reassuring us that all appropriate steps are being taken by you health-wise at home before they come into school. We're also doing a visual check of everyone before they enter as well to ensure that no stone is left unturned. These forms can be filled out immediately after the student wakes up in the morning by you. If you want to just get it out of the way, as soon as they wake up, you do a check of the child, you do a temperature check at home, you ask them how they're feeling. You can fill out that form right away to kind of help expedite the process when you arrive at school, but just know that form can be easily retrieved on your phone, and I will be sending you instructions on how to do that. Assigned staggered arrival and departure times are established to promote no crossover of cohorts. To the best extent possible, we have a system set up. You're going to notice how tight this schedule is of student arrival times to ensure that there are no crossovers of cohorts. And we've even established a schedule throughout the day of learning and special classes to ensure that the students are not intersecting in any way at any time. We're very grateful to the City of Boston. Haley Dillon from the Mayor's Office has been working with us to reserve parking spaces in front of the building and also in front of our playground to accommodate the flow of family vehicles. So we have 6 spaces that have been marked. They have been marked over the last several weeks, but we're working with the city to make them a little bit clearer. Right now, the signs say school days, which anyone driving by would assume that means September to June, but it has led to some confusion since we're open 52 weeks a year. Some of the neighbors haven't gotten the updates, even though we've been flyering cars, that those spaces are reserved. So we're taking additional steps right now to ensure that the neighborhood knows those spaces are ours between the hours of 7 and 10 and then 3 and 6 each day. Children should remain in the vehicle until the wellness check is performed. Sidewalk social distancing markers are provided for families who walk to school. As we know, we have a lot of families who live within the Southie area, so many of you choose to walk to school in the morning. So we will have markers available for you outside. Visitors, including parents and guardians, unfortunately right now are not permitted into the building because we want to limit exposure. So everything, including mail, is dropped off outside on the front steps and we take it in. It's really essential services and emergencies that would require anyone to enter the building. So like a fire department person or a police officer, those are really the only visitors that would be allowed into the building for any reason. A COVID response team is established consisting of the school nurse and the early education program manager. And the response team will be the primary school resource to provide COVID-19 health policy clarifications and updates to what's going on throughout the year. So you're continuously kept informed because, as you know, we value communication here at the school, especially clear communication that's consistent. So we will make you aware of anything that changes throughout the year, especially as new guidelines are released. The response team will work with the Boston Department of Public Health when a suspected or known COVID-19 exposure occurs within the community. The Boston Department of Public Health will give guidance in instances of quarantine, park closure, or full closure of school programming. Many of you have been calling my office and just asking questions about, well, what will you do if X occurs or Y occurs? And you have to understand, because this is so unprecedented, there are so many different variables and factors that come into play with whatever we decide to do. I'm a very type A person, so you can understand this is driving me crazy that I can't give people specific steps or information. It really requires a lot of patience on my part and everyone else's part because, again, whenever something happens, there are so many different things that we need to be looking at, and we will certainly be in close contact with the Department of Public Health, who will advise us on exactly what should take place to ensure that we are following all appropriate steps for the safety of our children and our community.
I will add, Frank, that actually the Boston Department of Public Health will make the call. So when our COVID team calls the Department of Public Health and explains a particular situation, they will actually say, you know, the child should be quarantined, or children that were in close proximity should be checked. So they will be guiding us a lot, and I'm sure that they're going to probably release some instances that we can just go ahead and follow once they're used to all the questions that need to be answered.
Additionally, a comfort room is available in order to separate anyone who may become symptomatic during the school day and is waiting to go home. Some people might assume that's the school nurse's office. It's not. Actually, the guidance has recommended that it not be the school nurse's office. So we are setting up a separate place so that way the school nurse can still attend to various people, and we can keep whoever may be symptomatic or we may be concerned is a little ill separate from everyone else. So the fun part, daily arrivals and departures. I have already reached out to our families with multiple students attending our school, siblings, to let them know of the various departure and arrival times that are going on throughout the day in relation to them. But for the remainder of our community, I'd like to provide some clarity in terms of how our staggered arrival will take place throughout the year. When they arrive at school for their designated start time, students will report directly to their respective classrooms, as opposed to assembling in community spaces in the past. So when we used to assemble in the schoolyard and do the Pledge of Allegiance and our morning prayer, as well as announcements, that will no longer take place. Students will just go directly to their rooms for their respective morning assemblies with their cohort classes. During rainy mornings, we used to assemble in the community room. Again, that's not happening. Students will just enter the building and go right to their respective classrooms. Students who arrive late beyond their scheduled times will only be admitted at the second assigned time. Students again should remain in their cars in the reserved spaces starting at the entrance to the school. Families that walk to school should remain at the visible markers outside. So please be mindful of this on inclement weather days. Making sure that the kids are appropriately dressed because they may be waiting for a few minutes as we try to appropriately screen everyone for safety reasons. Students who are not utilizing the school's extended care program will be released at the designated departure time in the afternoon. So here is a rundown of exactly what's going on. Students will be released via the earliest departure of the sibling group for those who have siblings in the family. But take a look here. As you can see, starting at 7:25, running through 8:55, it's a very tight schedule. Every 5 minutes, a classroom is admitted to the school. During that time period, throughout that 5-minute time frame, we are scanning children with temperature checks, visual wellness screenings throughout the day, throughout the 5 minutes, and then letting them into the building. And then the next classroom comes in 5 minutes later at 7:30, 7:35, 7:40, all the way up through pre-K 3. Because now we have 3 classrooms of pre-kindergarten students. Students who are not or cannot arrive at the designated time will not be admitted until 8:55. So as you can see, our Title I program is still being offered this year, but those students will be kept within their respective classrooms. We're not going to combine them as in the past. Extended care also will be taking place in the respective classrooms. We will not be combining students in the past, and they will be dismissed at the respective extended care end times. Again, this will be sent out to the community so you can see this. If you can't gather the arrival times or departure times right now, we'll be sending it out. All school programming has been redesigned to maintain classroom cohort groups with no crossover, as I mentioned before. Art and Spanish specials will be taking place in the community room with disinfecting protocols between each cohort or over Zoom. Recess is scheduled by a single cohort group, and the playground is disinfected between each cohort use. Lunch will be taking place in each classroom, so we're not utilizing the community room for lunches. Students will be eating lunch in their classroom with their teacher. And again, as I mentioned before, as you saw in the dismissal times, Title I and Extended Day will be taking place in each classroom. And we have been hiring new staff to ensure that we can provide coverage throughout the day, even if one of our recurring staff members gets sick. And as you can see, additional staffing is arranged to accommodate keeping cohorts separated. So you may be wondering why I haven't
I'm
sent
going to
out.
go back. I'm going to go back. Next slide.
Sure.
When we were planning, particularly Extended Day, we made some very conscious decisions. First, that we would offer Extended Day because many of our families need it. Secondly, that we would offer it in a very safe way. And third, in doing so, do whatever we needed to do to accomplish that. As you can see, Extended Day is in each classroom, where we've we've had some parents request, asking us, typically these kids might go somewhere else, but they were asking about whether or not the children could stay. And it's actually a very good and healthy idea because it limits exposure to different groups of people throughout the day. And so arranging for this was a little complex, but we got it done. And we were all super happy that we were able to do it and do it really safely and keep our kids together until parents are, out of work and ready to get them home for dinner. So we think it's going to work out well.
So at this time last year, I had sent out a school calendar of events and activities. Obviously, I haven't sent one out yet, and that's because we're going to have to collaborate and sort of make some decisions about what we can do, because one of the things that's really near and dear to me is how close-knit this community is, and just how often we would get together whenever it was possible last year. We certainly have to rethink all of that and reimagine it. And so a calendar will be distributed once we can come together and figure out exactly what we'd like to do and how we can do it. So in the process of doing all of this, we will maximize the school's current communication systems. I sent all of you a text invitation the other day to join our mass text messaging feature, so you can get reminders throughout the day and throughout the week and the year of things that are going on. Hopefully some of you have gotten that. If not, please reach out to me and I'll ensure that you get the invitation to sign on to it. We also have Constant Contact, which is another feature the school has utilized in the past to email families with photographs and almost in like a newsletter format. Email is certainly still another thing that is very valuable to us, and our phone system. All of our toddler rooms have phones installed in them now, so teachers can directly contact parents from the classroom if something arises and they need to make parents aware of something. Our school nurse has a phone in her office that she will be utilizing frequently. And as you noticed in the past, back in December, we upgraded the phone system, so when you call the school, there's an automated attendant now, and you can dial into specific departments within the school. So all of that will be utilized and maximized throughout the course of this year. And I just mentioned all of these again, but I failed to mention tadpoles. We'll be utilizing Zoom, and of course, our school calendar that will be sent out shortly. This is something that I'm very excited about, and I'd like to thank Mary Ann for being the crusader of this and suggesting it. We're going to be adding a school-wide online student information system with expanded features. This is very similar to platforms that some of you who have come to us from other schools may be familiar with, such as Rediker or RenWeb. This is something that will allow you to see how your students are doing academically, as well as notes from the teachers, and you'll be able to send notes back to the teachers. So this is something that will just enhance our communication system and really help to move our school even further into the 21st century with all of the great things that we're unrolling this year. So included, as I mentioned, I just sort of gave a broad overview, but this is a little more specific. There'll be a parent portal where you'll be able to see student grades, homework assignments, progress reports, and report cards. You'll be able to get health notes from the nurse. We'll be able to send out school-wide text messages, emails, and robocalls if an emergency requires it, or if there's a necessary reminder that needs to be sent out. You'll be able to manage re-enrollments and tuition payments. Mrs. Brown will be able to send you invoices for incidentals such as extended care, or if a mask is purchased through the school. Sorry, I hit that too quickly. So all of these things will be able to be managed through the SIS system through fax.
And the so the system that we're going with is fax, and the incidental billing will be automatic and really driven by parents, and extended day will be part of incidental billing. So there'll be no real exchange of cash or checks, limiting contact and exposure. And families will have instant and up-to-date information in their portals because teachers are adding to the system every day. And it's one way of the school trying to keep everybody connected during these times. So we're really excited about it, and it won't launch for a little while longer because we all have to go through trainings, but it's coming, and it's coming soon.
Thank you, Marianne.
You're welcome.
So, hybrid and remote plans. We've added more features to our virtual learning program that was very successful during the spring. We received a lot of great feedback from parents and community members in regards to our remote learning plan, that in the virtual learning plan that took place back in the springtime. And we've made some additional modifications based upon best practices and also recommendations that were relayed to us. So every student in the elementary division will have an exclusive use of an iPad or Chromebook. Interactive boards have been added to all elementary division classrooms. I'm really excited. Using federal title funding, we've managed to secure a touch screen for every elementary classroom in the school right now. So a wonderful feature that I know the kids will be excited to utilize when we return in a few weeks. Webcams and teacher laptops have been ordered to accommodate hybrid learning. Our hybrid plan will allow elementary division students to live stream into their classroom should any student be required to quarantine at home or needs to stay home for other health-related reasons. Should a classroom or the whole school experience a closure, including a snow day, so that's a new thing this year, the virtual learning program will begin immediately on a daily basis, 5 days a week, except on holidays and school vacation weeks. And of course, you will be getting, again, a calendar with all of our activities and things of that sort very soon. But you should have received an overview calendar of when our days off are as of right now. So take a look at this. This is the virtual learning program in the elementary division that covers all subjects instructed over the course of a regular school day. So this is an example of Mrs. Hessick's class. You may have recalled back in the springtime, the students were on here and there throughout the day. We've really expanded upon that to ensure that they're getting all of the mandated minutes and more that are required by the state to maximize the learning potential of remote and virtual learning and ensure that our kids are getting the best possible education as we move forward, regardless of whatever happens. So you can see starting at 9 a.m., they'll have their morning meeting. We'll give the kids a break because obviously we want them to get away from the screen. And then they'll be going into differentiated learning groups based upon reading level or skill set or maybe some reinforcement of certain things. And while different reading groups are taking place, there'll be a differentiated work that the students will be working on off screen, or perhaps using another online platform such as Seesaw or iReady. Then they'll be given an enrichment class in either Spanish or visual art or phys ed. They'll have another break, and then there'll be mathematics instruction, for example. And then there'll be iReady instruction in either math or ELA. And then there'll be a closing activity or exercise within the class to ensure that that sense of community is still there. And then if any academic support needs to take place thereafter, it'll be offered, almost like an office hours session for the students. And again, all of this will be distributed to parents, so you can review this again after our meeting tonight if you can't take a good look at it right now.
Yes, and parents, you'll receive from your classroom teachers the same kind of schedule. So all of that will happen once we get nearer to school opening that week. You'll be receiving that.
And before I forget too, I also want to make sure everyone knows we are meeting as a community, professional community next week for our professional development days, the faculty and staff. And we'll be discussing times that teachers can get online to have a meet and greet with all of you for your respective classes or classrooms. And teachers will be discussing a little bit more about their plans at that time, but we still would like to get together and fine tune everything. So that way, when you meet with the teachers, your time is maximized, since we know your evening time is valuable. In terms of our hybrid and remote plans, our early education team will provide daily literacy, math, and social circle instruction with special scheduled throughout the week. As I mentioned before, the early education team is looking into the feasibility of forming classroom subgroup learning pods that will bring the class, the teacher, and children together for instruction and care outside of the school building if a school closure takes place lasting longer than 2.5 weeks. So we are looking into other situations and scenarios where we can support our community if it requires our school to be shut down.
So I'd actually like to go into that a little further, Frank.
Sure.
So there's a lot of discussion, and the discussion will now branch out to families in the early education rooms about the possibility of setting up small learning pod groups. We have 6 early education classrooms, and we're keeping our enrollment in each classroom very low. It's 10 or under. And so we imagine that maybe 2 subgroups could be made and work out a situation where we may be able to have teachers and children together in a space that's private, because if there's a full closure, no public buildings are open. So the space would need to be a private space, and that would lead us to speak to families about the possibility of their homes or someone else's home. But we can get really creative, and we are a community that perseveres through anything, and we're willing to try. So those conversations will be ongoing, and we will start to include families in on that. What else do we have in this section, Frank?
The fidelity of education.
Oh, I would actually love to invite Mr. Dilba to read this, if we can unmute him.
Let me see if I can find him. Are you there, Mr. Dilba?
Can you hear us?
Um,
I will go ahead and read it.
Go for it.
So this is, and if he gets on, if you can see him, he's on, but he might have lost some contact.
Yeah.
He might be frozen. So this is something that in St. Peter's School, and those of us who organize St. Peter Academy always attested to. And so we would like to share it with all of our families. And it is our promise to all of you. We will uphold the school's longstanding belief system and approach to education, to advance our students in their individual learning journeys through a school-wide educational belief system that recognizes the whole child, academically, socially, and emotionally. This belief system and approach to education nurtures our love for learning in our students and ultimately accomplishes the most important goal of educators, to produce lifelong learners. And that is our promise to you. We will continue to be the community that we have always been, in spite of what's happening in the world. And we will be creative, and we will all learn together, and our children will feel that nurture. They will feel that sense of community. And none of us are going to give in to this dreadful disease. We will all be here when things go back to a more normal atmosphere and environment. This is, you know, we know that this is not an easy time for everybody, and we know that we're all trying to make the best of it, but we will get through all of this together. And you know what? We know our kids are going to have fun too. Our teachers are super dedicated and they just get it figured out. And they actually take their cues from the children. So we're all here and we actually can't wait to get more of our kids back into the building. So I think we're going to be going to questions, right?
Yes. So let me just pull up.
I think there's some in chat too, Frank.
Yeah, that's why I stopped the share, because I know we have so many questions coming in and I can't quite see all of them. So we'll start from the top. Mrs. Condon, hi Mrs. Condon, she wants to know if the masks have to be spa masks or St. Peter Academy masks, or is any mask okay? We're asking that the masks be purchased through the school since they are considered a uniform requirement. And we encourage everyone, for those of you that have signed on a little bit later who may not have heard this, we're encouraging everyone to have at least 2 masks throughout the day in case one gets damp or soiled or whatever might take place throughout the course of the day with a child. And that the masks, like you would with any other article of clothing, make sure that they're clearly labeled so that way we know that that is your child and it will not get mixed up with anyone else's.
So maybe why don't we consider, we shouldn't give up on our tag dates and things like that. Why don't we make sure that we have a good amount of tag days going on so that the kids can express themselves the way we always let them express themselves. And on those days, they can have a lot of fun with their masks.
Frank, can you see Mrs. Condon raising her hand? Go ahead. Unmute Emily Condon. She's raising her hand.
I unmuted myself.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm just gonna ask, could you consider one day a week, like a Friday, letting the kids wear whatever mask they want to? It's tough enough, I feel like, that they're gonna be wearing them all the time. And frankly, as a mom, I've purchased a ton of them at this point already, not knowing the St. Peter masks were gonna be part of the uniform. So I know I would appreciate it. I'm imagining other parents who have a tough time getting their little ones to wear masks and fit correctly, that you consider one day a week letting them do this. It might just add something that's fun for the kids and for them to look forward to. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Condon. Certainly a great suggestion that I'll bring to the governing board in terms of a school policy. I think it's a cute suggestion, and we'll see what happens. Let me just see now. I'm going to go back up to the comments again. I'm trying to go through these as quickly as possible. I know some of you have to get going. For half days, pre-K students, is the departure time still 12 noon? So with half days, that's a really great question. We will have to make some modifications, obviously, to how half days have gone in the past, and that would require a staggered dismissal. So please be aware that as the half days approach, I know we sent out a school calendar that said 12:30 departure, but that may have to change given the fact that we have.
Excuse me, Frank.
Yep.
I think the half-day students who end their
Oh, half-day
day.
children.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, they'll be released at the same time, just a little staggered.
But even based upon that too, I think it's good to mention too, our half days for early releases with professional development, there will be a staggered release with that too. It wasn't specified on the school calendar. So please, parents, be aware of that, and we'll provide information as those days come around. Thank you, Maria. I appreciate the clarification too. So if you missed your top, the question is for Miss Withern, if you miss your group drop-off time, you have to arrive at 8:55 in the morning. Yes, that is to ensure that no crossover occurs between the children. Why is there not a remote learning offering for our students to opt into as an educator plan instead of in the classroom? So that is something that we will work with individual families on. If families would like to do virtual learning from home, we can work with you on that. That's certainly an option if parents wish to take that route. But we are very confident in our ability to safely accommodate all children here, given our small community size, every day in school with safe parameters in place.
Yes, and I'll add that we are prepared to live stream, so that is absolutely doable.
Hey, thank you. Excellent.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm still looking through. Where do we purchase the St. Peter Academy masks? You can purchase them through the school office. So we have them available for you if you'd like to start purchasing them. Mrs. Brown can get some set aside for you, or Miss Maria. And I believe I got through all of the questions. If I didn't, please send another one along. I think we have time for maybe one or two more.
I just want to add to everyone that not to worry about remote learning because I won't be in charge of it.
No, I have to
No.
say, she's been saying this since April and March when we shut down. She hit it out of the park with everything she did. I don't know if you've seen our Facebook page, but she even came up with a flat HESIC that she sent every child home with over the course of the summer, where they have to take pictures of flat HESIC in various places around the house and around the country or around the region. So she hit it out of the park. Mrs. Khan, and I see you raising your hand. Do you want to say something as a parent of Mrs. Hessig's classroom?
I do. She even took our kids on field trips
Yeah, but
and
I'm
made it
just saying,
interesting for them. She was fabulous.
I can do that, but in the classroom with that big board that has touchy things, I don't know if I can do that.
You were awesome. You kept the remote learning as bearable as possible for our kids. And we're
So
grateful.
I think Laura Hessig definitely deserves like a community thank you for all of her efforts, as
Oh, gosh,
the rest
no.
of our teachers, but she certainly hit it out of the park and she doesn't give herself enough credit. So thank you, Mrs. Hessig.
And I will say that we modeled a virtual learning schedule after Laura Hessig and everything that she did for her students. So that really was born out of Laura's efforts that she did to her children every single day over the spring while we did virtual learning for school. So.
Oh, now I'm getting embarrassed. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay.
So
I saw.
there is one more question. One parent said they don't feel that remote learning is effective for young children. What kind of flexibility will you have if we go to remote learning? So as we mentioned before, I don't know if people heard this last piece, but we're investigating potential pods. So that way, if the school shuts down for longer than 2 weeks, we can continue the learning with the children as quickly as possible. So that will be something that we will attempt to implement as a school, because again, we want to go above and beyond for our community and for the kids. And so that is something that has been proposed and is being looked at very carefully right now for implementation. Can you share what the numbers of children and staff in the building were this summer and how many kids and staff you expect this fall? Yes, so we are staying within the cohort guidelines that have been recommended by the state, as well as supervision guidelines. So this summer, in our summer program, I don't think we had more than 11 children at any one point in time, or 10 children at any one point in time with 2 adults. And then in our toddler classrooms, our early education classrooms, I would say no more than 6 to 8 children at any one point in time in our biggest room with 2 adults. And obviously that has fluctuated. You know, there have been fewer children because many parents are on vacation this summer or taking trips. So the numbers have been low this summer, but even still during the academic year with our brand new pre-kindergarten classrooms, I don't know if you noticed the communication I sent out yesterday, but we're very excited to have unveiled 2 new pre-kindergarten classrooms that will be adjacent to our longstanding pre-K classroom with Ms. Carmen, to ensure that we're meeting the needs of our wide variety of learners in pre-K and also keeping them socially distanced too. So in one pre-K classroom, I believe we have 5 children. In another pre-K classroom, I believe we have 6. And in another pre-K classroom, I believe we have 8. So we're within the guidelines that have been recommended. And we're very small, we're intentionally small, so we're keeping everyone safe with small groupings, small cohorts throughout the school year.
So Frank, the pre-K numbers are, because we have reserved seating for students that are coming, those are the numbers to start on September 8th. But they actually go up to 10. And we have arranged to add a 4th pre-K classroom if need be. There are some other questions here that may have gotten missed. I was just,
Sometimes they go back, but there's
yeah.
Is there,
There was one about pickup times for extended day, whether or not you needed to come at that exact time. That would be the preference, so there's no crossover. But within the whole schedule, if there are times that are requested in advance by the family, then we try to arrange for that to happen. But anything outside of the arrival and departure times would need to be arranged in advance so that we ensure that there's no crossover going on through the exits or on the sidewalks.
there's also a question about testing, Mary Ann. Would you be able to discuss the city in terms of what the governor or the mayor is looking to do?
Where is it?
it's from Coleman. It's
So Mr. Green had a question, as well as
Yep.
the Dabrowski's wondering about testing the children, or even
Oh,
testing-
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually am kind of excited about that. So the governor has made available rapid testing mobile units. And they're rolling that out, and they're going to let everybody know about the availability. But our COVID response team would call into the Boston Department of Public Health, and they would dispatch a mobile unit. That is something that we will have ongoing conversations about with our families, because we would need a consent from the families to actually utilize that. But I think it's an added safety measure, and I actually applaud the governor and the mayor for putting the funding together for that and the planning together for that for our school systems.
I'm sorry, Mary Ann, I was looking through our questions, so I couldn't quite remember if you had mentioned anything about an inclement weather policy for drop-offs or any flexibility with regards to when weather becomes dicey.
So the backup plan that we're working on, and it's not finished, is to utilize the community room and or other entries and exits at the school. But we really have to play it all out and see how we can move the traffic of the children through the building. But that is something that we're planning right now. So we will have that in place, hopefully, probably after a couple of weeks the school is in session.
Thank you, Marius's dad, for mentioning that Marius has had a great summer and he's been happy and healthy. So thank you for that. We always love great feedback and we appreciate that. At this time, I believe we have pretty much covered all of our bases. Please know that I will continuously avail myself in the coming days to you with questions via email. You can now dial directly into my office and leave me a voicemail if you'd like to ask me any questions over the phone, and I'll call you back. Please know that we're here for you. We know that this is a very stressful time for everyone, and it's a very unprecedented time too, which is just adding to that. But we're here for you, and we want to make sure that we're providing the best possible experience for not only our children, but our families. And so please know you can reach out at any time. We will be sending this presentation to our community members, so you have it for reference, and it will include the drop-off and pickup times each day. And should you need, again, any clarification, please don't hesitate to reach out.
No, please, anytime. Email, phone call, text. So, and once we have the new communication system set up, it's going to be a lot easier too.
Right. And so with that, the countdown starts. I'm sure it's been counting down since March for many of you, but we are excited to welcome everyone back to school in a little less than 2 weeks. So I hope the kids are ready. I'm sure the parents are more than ready. We look forward to seeing everyone
I'm
back
ready.
here. Very soon. So
Thank you
take care.
everyone for taking the
Thank
time
you.
to be with us this evening. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate all of your patience as we plan for the school year. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you,
For the
everyone.
rest of the summer.
Bye.
Have a great night. Take care. We'll see you soon.
See you
Bye.
later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Mrs. Brown.
Hi there.
Mrs. Brown, what's going on?
Hi there. Very good. Very good.
Just like
Working a
old
little
times.
drop off, I'm sure.
I think we might have lost Andy. I don't think it would be like him to just drop off like that.
No,
So
I think he may have frozen because he's in Vermont.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a tough place anyway. It's in the woods.
Yeah, it is in the woods.
How do you think it went, Mrs. Brown?
I think it went well. And there's a lot of people. A lot of people came on. I thought more toddlers would be on, but they seem to want to know more questions. But it was good. A lot of, you got a lot from every class on there.
You know why I don't think, the toddlers may not have come on either because the way that the communication went out, because it was stated it was more for upper elementary.
No, I know, but I did
And then-
specify to the toddler people who would be transitioning to pre-K that
Yeah.
they might utilize some information that we got.
I think they're so happy. I think they're just so happy.
I don't think they can see you. Can I go? I'm just setting up the classroom.
Oh, sure. Are you still
Okay,
there?
bye. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
No,
So
I think it was good. Good.
when would you like to send out this communication? Are we doing it through Constant Contact?
Probably, but you know what? I just spent a day and a half without sleep doing those slides. I'm taking a break. So we'll talk sometime tomorrow. It doesn't need to go out till next week.
Yeah,
Don't
and
you
I
think?
updated,
Don't you think?
I gave Maria today all the updated emails, so she
Okay.
has everybody to put in.
So
I
do you
think you did a
want
great job.
to do any sort of little wrap-up session tomorrow morning with Laura? What would you like to do?
Me?
Yes.
Sorry. Laura's apologizing to me for logging off, so I'm just writing back to her. It's okay. Like, go home and run. I'm sorry, what was your question?
Laura and Ashley have been living at the school.
Yeah.
We gotta figure out how we do something for them, because it's like bizarro. And then Laura's driving from Falmouth all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's been so many hours here.
So was that your question? You want to do something for them tomorrow? Is that what you said?
No, I didn't know if you wanted to do any sort of like little wrap up on this tomorrow while it's still fresh in everyone's mind, or.
Sure. The only thing, I have a doctor's appointment at 11:30. That's or 11:45. So that's the only time I'll be unavailable for like an hour. It's at Dot Health up the street.
You know what we can do?
So-
Maybe we can just text in the morning, because it doesn't need to be 8 a.m. I know that's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Maybe we can just text in the morning. We'll do a little group text, and see if there's a good time.
Yeah,
Okay.
there wasn't that many major questions either.
Not really. I think it didn't.
Coleman, Kara's dad kept